Hey guys, welcome to the Muscle and Fitness Nutrition Basics. Thanks for joining me. My name is Rob Riches, and today on this series, really we're going to take a look at everything you need to know in terms of meal preparation, macronutrients, calories and recipes to help you get and maintain that best physical conditioning. First off, we're going to be looking at 6 meals today, starting from breakfast, snack, lunch, a snack 2, post-workout and an evening meal. We're going to show you variations of these recipes, as well as look at the exact amount of protein, carbohydrates and fats that make up each of these recipes. Now, before we get started, I've got an example of the Muscle and Fitness Nutrition Basic Plan here. This is what you can get a copy of in the ebook, and I just want to break down really what we're looking at, because I can show you recipes all day long, but it's important that we have the right amount of protein and calories within each of these meals at specific times, and we'll address these later on throughout the videos. First off, we're going to be looking at a total daily calorie amount. That means all 6 meals added together for the day, coming in at 2,625 calories. Now, if you're thinking, where does that number come from? It comes from the starting body mass weight. All of these meals are intended for an average person of 175 pounds. That's just short of 80 kilograms. And later on, we'll have a look at how to address increasing that or decreasing it based on your actual body weight and your goal. So 175 pounds, and that number comes from multiplying that by 15. 15 calories per pound of body weight, so 175 times 15 gets us that total starting calorie number, which is a great baseline, a starting point to follow for several weeks before increasing or decreasing that based on your goals and the progression. Now, I know there's a lot of controversy about high protein diets, high protein, high fats, low carbohydrates, high carbohydrates, no carbs at all. Well, this is a muscle building meal plan. This is something that is intended to fuel your muscles, to allow you to recover and give you just enough nutrition to be able to recover and build those muscle fibers that need recovering. So, looking at protein, we have 45% of our total daily calories coming from protein. That's 295 grams of protein. Now, that may sound a lot, but bear in mind, we're going to spread this throughout the day in 6 different meals. That's just under 50 grams of protein per meal. That's not an extortionate amount. Carbohydrates next. 35% of our total daily calories from carbohydrates. Might seem low, but these are at key specific times, mainly breakfast and post-workout, when our body needs those sugars, which is what carbohydrates are broken down to, the most. And again, we'll look at these as we address each meal. Finishing off with fats, 20% of our total daily calories are coming from fats. And a lot of these are healthy, essential omega fats. We've got omega 3, 6, and 9s that are essential for our body. Therefore, we need to get them from nutrition or supplementation because our body cannot produce them themselves. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started on the first meal of the day, breakfast, which happens to be my favorite meal. And think about it, when you sleep, your body fasts. Certainly 3 or 4 hours after actually going to sleep, and maybe 5 hours from your last meal. Your body no longer has the essential nutrients inside it that we had got from the food. It's metabolized it and already put them to use. So for those 6 hours until you then wake up and eat, your body is basically running on empty. So if you are on the quest for lean muscle gains and to sculpt that physique, we need to get nutrition in when we wake up. I'm not talking about literally opening your eyes and scoffing down breakfast, but it's important we do get a balanced breakfast. And for this one, we're including 30% of our total daily carbohydrates in breakfast. 30% for breakfast, and then we're going to spread the rest throughout the meals, having a little bit more for post-workout. Anyway, let's get started with the ingredients and have a look at what we're using to make our first breakfast recipe. A big part of our daily food prep is preparation. It's important to have all of your foods prepared and ready cooked, ideally, if you want to be able to consume them at regular intervals and actually not waste time cooking and making foods each and every time you need to eat. For breakfast, this is what I've already got laid out, and we'll have a look at the numbers as we go. Carbohydrates, we have 60 grams of gluten-free oats. The reason I'm using gluten is a type of amino acid that many people are actually intolerant to, and when you are defining those abdominals I found in the past they can cloud that lower section of the abdominals. So switch to gluten-free and hopefully you should see that flatten out. Moving on to our protein. 6 eggs here, 5 of which we're gonna have the egg whites and 1 whole egg. Therefore we have a good amount of high quality lean protein and a little bit of healthy fats there. And also 80 grams of 95% fat-free turkey. The reason that I'm using 2 different forms of protein, both the turkey and the eggs, is really twofold. On one hand, I'm getting a greater variety of those essential amino acids. And secondly, if I were just to get all of the protein we need, which remember was 49 grams, we're looking at about 10 eggs. And with the oats, the fruits, and the eggs, it's just too much for me for breakfast. So with this way, I get to increase the protein and keep that portion size down. Next up, a few more carbohydrates, but we're using simpler, faster absorbing sugars. So altogether, 30% of our total daily carbs, we're looking at just short of 70 grams of carbohydrates, 40 of which come from these oats. So when you look at it, we're getting a split of about 60-40 for those slow releasing carbohydrates and the remaining from faster acting carbohydrates. The benefit for this is it gets sugar into our blood system quickly, but it doesn't spike it too much. With those complex, slow releasing carbohydrate, it's gonna drag that out over an hour or two, as opposed to just having sugars for breakfast. And the sugars we are using, banana, raspberries, and raisins. And if you want numbers, 20 grams, 80 grams, and 20 grams. It may not seem much, but when you're dieting and you're doing this for a number of weeks, just to have some form of sweetness in with those oats really does make the difference. And then finally, just to help flavor some of that, good old cinnamon and nutmeg, 2 great spices there, and stevia. We're going to be using stevia throughout the day in small dosages, much better than sucralose or Splenda, mainly because it keeps the glycemic index down to 0, whereas Splenda actually puts it up to about 80. So with this one, we're not going to get any spikes. All right, enough talking. Let's get started on the recipe. So we have our small cooking pot there and 2 other pans. So it's really just to cook all of the ingredients at the same time and bring it all together. Let's start with the oats. We have our gluten-free oats into the pan. Some water here. I don't want to put too much in at first, because remember, if by the time they're cooked, you're going to take some of that out. It's going to be much harder to take water out than to add it in. So you can see there's just enough water to cover the oats. Now we're going to put this on a low to medium heat. Next up, we'll move on to the eggs and get our protein started. A little trick I've developed here. Take a small bag inside a pot or a mug. That means when we crack the eggs, it's going to be easy to put the remains in there. So a pan, put this on, 5 egg whites, 1 full yolk. Just going to separate the yolk there and put the rest into our bag. And the last one, put the entire egg in. Right, let's whisk everything up. Now that the eggs are ready to go into the pan, let's get another low to medium heat. And for this, just a dab of extra virgin olive oil. If you have coconut oil, it's another great substitute to use for cooking. I'm gonna take some kitchen towel, smear that around just to ensure the eggs don't stick, and in they go. As they're cooking, I'm just gonna add a little bit more flavor, some red pepper, cayenne pepper. Sprinkle there, and I think same goes for dill. So balance it out with some herbs and some spices there. Finally, we have our third pan here. I'm gonna get, yet again, a low to medium heat. Use the rest of our olive oil. and take our ground turkey, start to cook this. Coming back to our oats, you can see how much they've grown with that water. They didn't look like that much in the bowl, but it'll be a pretty hearty meal. As they're cooking, I'm gonna add some of our stevia. This is liquid form. You can use the powder form as well. And it's literally 1 or 2 droplets, 1 and 2. A little bit more for our nutmeg. This is all a personal preference. These are also calorie-free, sodium-free, so don't have to worry about these getting close to competition. While the turkey's cooking, I'm gonna finish that off with some chili pepper flakes. A really nice balance between the spiciness of the eggs and turkey and that sweetness coming from the oats. Let's turn this over. We're gonna ensure that the turkey is fully cooked before adding it into the eggs. And I'm not really planning on making an omelette, so I'll get all of this turned around like so. Add the turkey now into our eggs. Final thing that needs to be done, I'm gonna add the raisins into the oats just to help soften these up. Before then, plating everything and adding the final touches. Right, let's get everything plated up. So have our bowl for the oats. And get those raspberries in there. So it's really all of our carbohydrates, just shy of 70 grams of carbohydrates made up of slow and fast acting sugars. This is our 49 grams of protein. And then the last thing we need to do just to get our fats in, we have a little bit of the fats from our egg yolk in there. But I need to get 5 more grams, so about half a capful or a teaspoon over our eggs and turkey. And here we go, breakfast. This is our complete macronutrient breakdown. We have the gluten-free oats, eggs, egg whites, turkey breast, banana, raisins, flaxseed, and the raspberries. And altogether, for calorie-wise, this comes in at 578. Again, one of the larger meals of the day, but also one of the most important meals when you wake up to stop the body from fasting and get the essential amino acids and fats and a mix of slow and fast acting carbohydrates in your body. All right, let's move on to meal 2.